Another significant day in the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial. The defense wrapped up their questioning, their cross-examination of accuser Jane. She's officially off the stand. She was questioned once again by the prosecution. We'll get into that too. But this is Sean Combs' former love interest, who claims that essentially she was pressured into sex acts with other men as Combs watched and pleasured himself. Hotel nights, debauchery nights. Claims that Combs was physically violent with her. Claims that he forced her to engage in these sex sessions when she was sick, exhausted, that she was taking drugs, that these were prolonged for hours on end. But as we've been talking about all week since she's been facing cross-examination from the defense, there have been openings for Sean Combs' defense team to exploit. And it seems that is certainly what they have been doing, about whether or not she was a willing participant. Did she set up these events? Did she encourage them? Did she arrange the travel and pay for these male performers? Was she fueled by jealousy in her relationship with Sean Combs as opposed to being a victim of sex trafficking? These are the important questions that the jury's going to have to wrestle with.
In December 2023, just days after Cassie filed her explosive lawsuit against Diddy, the rap mogul made a desperate plea to Jane. This phone call, which was later introduced as crucial evidence in the trial, paints a chilling picture of a man attempting to desperately silence the voices of those closest to him. Fearing the implications of his past relationships and the potential fallout, Diddy reached out to Jane with a clear message. He needed her silence. The conversation reveals his awareness of the damage these relationships could cause, not only to his reputation, but to his empire. As the accusations against him mount, he clearly feared the truth would come out, and he was willing to do whatever it took to keep it hidden.
They were saying that this particular audio message would go to Diddy's state of mind. And so, again, this audio message from December 20th of 2023, where Diddy was saying something along the lines to Jane that he was unaware and never understood how she really felt about doing these hotel nights. And again, just putting this into context, the two started dating in 2021, and Diddy is saying in 2023 that he had no idea that she didn't want to be doing these hotel nights. And they were saying that they being the defense, that the government opened the door to let this piece of audio message in, but the government was kind of like, well, this time period elicited under direct was about 2024, and that was the end of their relationship. And they were saying that it's a 403 issue and that Diddy was possibly trying to feed a false narrative around this time frame, because again, context is a little bit of everything in this case, because December 20th of 2023 was a month after Cassie had filed her federal lawsuit and also settled within that next day. And so the government was kind of like, we don't know if this statement is actually truthful, and we don't know if, again, that Sean Combs was trying to feed this particular narrative to Jane, because again, Jane was expressing that she kind of felt the same way as Cassie did in certain pages of her lawsuit, and Diddy's now saying, okay, I didn't know that you felt this way. And so the government was saying that this is an attempt to get in his own statement as hearsay. Now, they said if the defendant wants to go up there himself and talk about this as a witness, as he would testify when the defense takes over and starts to do their case, the government said, hey, that's fine, you can totally do that. But as far as this particular audio message, the judge ruled in favor of the government.
Jane's perspective on the relationship shifted dramatically after reading Cassie's lawsuit. What once seemed like consensual encounters now appeared as part of a long-running pattern of manipulation and abuse. Her testimony on the stand revealed the depth of her emotional turmoil and betrayal.
They just really wanted to get in that one particular statement. They said it's under Rule 803, and Jesse, you can talk more about that. I obviously don't know what Rule 803 is, but that the government was saying that she didn't do this because she was scared of criminal prosecution, that she was doing this because this really kind of went to her state of mind of around that time. Now, initially, the judge did reserve his ruling on that particular sentence, but they picked that up. I think it was post the lunch break, and the defense was saying that Jane kind of did have a financial motive, and again, context is everything, where they were saying this note was coming in after December of 2023, so a month after Cassie had filed her lawsuit. So they were saying, okay, well, maybe it's possible that Jane had a financial motive because she had asked for $100,000 from Diddy for everything that she had endured throughout their 3-year relationship. And she didn't ask for it in a civil suit. She didn't ask it through a lawyer. She sent this through a particular text message. And so what ended up happening is the judge denied the government's application to admit this particular statement. So unfortunately, the jury was not able to see this statement whenever Jane got back on the stand and whenever the government did redirect her testimony towards the end of the day today.
Despite the mounting tension and the violent incidents that Jane endured, Diddy continued to exert an overwhelming emotional and financial grip on her. Each time their relationship hit a breaking point, after moments of physical and emotional abuse, he would suddenly shift gears, showering her with affection, grand gestures, and promises of love, only to quickly revert to his manipulative ways. This cycle of abuse, affection, and manipulation left Jane trapped in a constant emotional whirlwind. The unpredictability of his behavior, the highs and lows, wore her down mentally and emotionally, leaving her confused, questioning her worth, and above all, emotionally drained. She was left wondering whether the love she craved was genuine or just another ploy to keep her under his control.
What the defense was trying to do when pointing out this particular January 2024 Vegas trip was kind of trying to say that Jane would also reach out to the entertainers or the escorts outside of her relationship with Diddy, because in this particular case, she was recommending an entertainer that she and Diddy used to this unnamed rapper and to his girlfriend/wife, because they were, the unnamed rapper and his girlfriend/wife were a part of the lifestyle. And so Jane was kind of recommending Cabral to them. And so the jury was able to see text exhibits. And initially Jane was saying things along the lines of Merry Christmas, hope you had a beautiful holiday. And then Cabral texted a few days later saying, good afternoon, beautiful, I'll be in your city on the 7th. And Jane was responding, hey Cabral, good morning, what time is your flight today? Those types of things. And so at the end, what we did learn, because I know there's been a lot of talk about who this unnamed rapper is, they didn't say who this person was during testimony today, but it seemed like the defense's whole point of even bringing up this particular trip is one that Diddy was upset that other people knew that Jane and him were kind of engaged in this lifestyle based off the fact that Jane had recommended Cabral, an entertainer that the two have used in hotel nights, to this unnamed rapper.
In June 2024, the relationship took a violent turn. Jane testified that Diddy physically assaulted her, even placing her in a chokehold. This was the moment that led her to finally recognize the full extent of his control over her life. Further, complicating the already tangled case, Jane has testified that Diddy repeatedly threatened to release explicit videos of her, using them as a form of coercion to keep her silent and compliant. These threats, according to Jane, were part of a broader pattern of intimidation and control, with Diddy leveraging her fear to maintain his hold over her. This chilling claim directly mirrors the allegations made by Cassie in her own lawsuit, where she accused Diddy of similar tactics to suppress her voice and manipulate her into silence. The parallels between the two women's stories, of fear, exploitation, and control, only strengthen the prosecution's case, adding significant weight to the charges of sexual exploitation and trafficking. These disturbing revelations suggest that Diddy didn't just engage in manipulation, but used his power to systematically break down the women in his life for his own gain.
30 minutes after taking that particular video where the Lovely Day song is playing, that this was 30 minutes after she took that video, that's when the physical assault occurred. And so Jane was saying, while she was still being cross-examined, that she and Diddy both had about 2 to 3 glasses of champagne. I think Diddy may have had one more glass more than her, and both took 2 shots of tequila. But Jane said that she had a feeling that another girl was on that family trip that Diddy had just returned from. And so the defense was kind of like, okay, well, you're saying that another girl was on this trip, but did you have any proof that another girl was on this trip? I think trying to insinuate that this reaction out of Jane came out of nowhere. She had no proof that Diddy was with anyone besides his family. And so what ended up happening is that Jane got pretty upset. She threw glasses at Diddy. She threw candles at him. The wax got on him. And the defense was kind of trying to point out that there wasn't, like initially when this fight first broke out, that Diddy wasn't necessarily hitting her at first. And so they kind of talked a little bit more about this other woman, and that this girl lived in Miami, that Diddy and Jane had fought previously about this particular woman. She was also someone who was unnamed. And then Jane was explaining that on that night, on June 18th, going into June 19th of 2024, that it was kind of a ball of emotions that night. She had said that this was the first time that she had ever slammed Diddy's head into a counter. She said that this was the first time that she and Diddy even got into a physical altercation.